it's been just really, really obvious that from me as a health professional, I always thought, okay, we can do remedies, we can do supplements, detox, work with meditation, yoga, that's all enough. But what I have come to realize in the last year or so, that actually it is just the beginning, but what is underlying is all those entities and all those energies that are actually attached to us, which prevent, in essence, from remedies to work its fullest, or from us going into a deep state of meditation, or even get into a rhythm to sit down and meditate. So it's really, really so important that we get the message out, and I'm very grateful for all of you to be here. So that's giving you a little bit of a background why we do this. And all of you here are very dear to us. Although we haven't met Laura, Kerrie, Matt, but I feel a very, very strong connection. And that's why we said we're going to reach out to you and see if you would be able to share what your journey was and why you got involved with the session, why you booked the session in the first place. Does that sound okay?
Yes.
I feel a little bit shy because usually I'm just sitting in the background of asking questions.
Well, I had the pleasure of having 2 sessions with you, and I popped your cherry, didn't I, Thomas? I was your first.
I was so nervous and so...
I didn't know.
Yeah.
You'll see, I've got the recording, like I was just reviewing it just now of our first session, and I remembered being in session going, holy fuck, he's really good. Holy fuck, he's really good. I remembered that voice saying that. And then right at the end, I totally expected you to say you'd been doing hypnosis for ages and you'd been practicing for a long time. And then you said, you're my first one. And I was like, oh my God, you're amazing. Because I could feel if you've had more than one hypnosis session in any modality, any type of hypnosis, you can feel the hypnotherapist, their competency. You can feel their competency, and you can feel whether they've got it in hand or not. And I could feel, because I was familiar with the process, I could feel you were ad-libbing, like you were just feeling it, and you knew you were taking control of the situation through, you were just feeling it. And I could feel that you were using all of your tools, all of your knowledge while you were doing it. So it was a powerful session for me. And I remember it was so powerful that the power went out. Do you remember? Like,
yes.
Thomas like put his hands up, and the whole internet just like it went and it went out. And that's pretty typical.
Who's surprised?
It's typical of entities, working with entities and anything to do with AI. And even I've been watching the psychotherapist Jerry Basinski, who is coming out and saying that patients with schizophrenia are actually being tormented by demons and entities. So that's big, groundbreaking stuff. And he even said that when he starts talking about this stuff, the internet goes out on it starts glitching on Zoom meetings and stuff. So this is groundbreaking things, and I think we need more and more practitioners like Thomas. And when I experienced something recently that was just it proved to me how much these parasitic entities are affecting everyone. I was like, okay, that's it. I'm dedicating my life's works to this. I really am. I'm going to try and get the word out, because I need people to understand that this isn't fake. This is real, and it's affecting everything, and it's sabotaging many good people's lives.
JC and maybe everybody else, Why do you think this is happening right now? Because those entities have been around for a very long time, and we read about it. We watched Merlin. I watched Merlin. I'm at the moment hooked to Merlin. I have to hurry up because they take it down the channel in December. So why do you think right now actually more and more people become aware of it? What is it about the time at this point in time?
I think,
go,
goes JC.
Go, Matt.
I just think, Thomas, that, you know, there's been a mass shift in consciousness. For me, this is why I feel that things are coming to light, and I guess the amount of light that's being emanated as well, that's shining on all this stuff, it's bringing everything to the surface. And with everyone's consciousness expanding, and becoming more aware and attuned to what's going on energetically. I know for me, I've had massive shifts in consciousness, and I can feel energy now. So that for me has been a big thing. And also, I guess, believing in it, that's a big part of it, whether you believe in it or not. Like, there's a lot of naysayers out there that think it's a load of shit. But for me, I totally believe it. So it was a no-brainer for me to go down this path.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My first video that I put out publicly was, I didn't realize at the time, was extremely groundbreaking, because I basically said to everybody, the whole world, hey everyone, there's demons. There's real demons, and they're underground, or they're in a dimension that I sensed was in these tunnels. And you know, that blew the lid off it for most people. And I think that was the precipice of change in the last 2 or 3 years, where the unseen became seen. And even though this has been centuries, you know, we've come full circle where, you know, crazy people, they told us centuries ago that they were tormented by demons, they were possessed by demons or entities. And now it's coming full circle again. You know, we went from the scientists trying to take us away from religion and God, and declaring that there is no Satan, there is no demons, there is no entities, it's thoughts, or it's psychology, or it's whatever. There's always something to explain it away. And I just think that this is a provable thing. You can't just disregard anecdotal evidence. You can't disregard it, you know. And Laura Whitworth, you know, thousands of clients, and she's just got testimony after testimony after testimony of there are actually entities attached to these different energy centers in our bodies, affecting us and puppeteering us a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm. And sabotaging us from actually becoming better. That's the big thing. Mm-hmm. That's really the big thing. And the sad thing, how far they can go. Laura, what did you experience? Why did you choose to enroll in the course yourself? Because I know that also you are training or have been training as a practitioner.
First of all, thank you so much for inviting me to this. I'm overwhelmed and excited about it. You know, I had several past life regression therapeutic sessions before hypnotherapy. And for the people that are going to be watching this that have never had that before, it was life-changing. I didn't realize that we had lives before now, and it was actually a psychiatrist out in California, and you know, I said, "What now? Why am I doing this again?" Because a friend had told me I needed to do it, and you know, we do whatever our friends tell us to do. So, well, most of it. So, I lost my thought. I lost my train. She said that she had been a psychiatrist and doing past life regressions for quite a while. And she said that one past life regression did more for some of her patients that had had 10 years of psychotherapy. So when you think about, I mean, it's $200 a session for psychotherapy for 10 years, once a month or whatever. And then when you think about the price also of one of these SCHH sessions, you know, it puts it into perspective, that what a great deal it is. So I wanted to mention that too. When I saw JC have her session with Tony online, and then the threesome with Laura, I was like, I want to do that. I do whatever you two tell me to do, or tell me you just do it, and I'm like, I want to be like you guys. So I had also taken one of Gordon's classes, so I was excited about when you have one of these sessions and you know how powerful it is, you want to be able to help other people. So it was an honor and a privilege for me to have my first session with you, Thomas. And I've gotten to know you through the meditation class that we do. And there's definitely a bond there. I had no idea that there were entities, within me or with my family for most things. So you are an amazing voice. It resonates through the internet, through the screen, your voice, your heart, and your soul. And it's so healing. What I think that I found when I had my session with you was that, I think my son's wife passed away a couple years ago, leaving 3 little kids. And what most people don't know is that that she was demon possessed. She was a horrific, awful person. I'm not Catholic, but whatever. Anyway, so what I found in my session, which was guided by Thomas, and he puts you in a place where you feel comfortable and you can just relax and let whatever's going to come out. And I found out in my session that I not only had an entity that had been with me for lifetimes, and was wreaking havoc throughout my life. I'm 64, so that was a a lot of years. But also, I saw this one little feeling, it was kind of a secondary little entity, if you will. And I saw that came from my daughter-in-law. And I also saw that she was putting either her hooks in, or she had sent the same demon entity that was in her in my son, and was putting some in the grandkids. And so of course Thomas is really good about letting you know, okay, some of these things are going to be they know you're coming after them. They know, and that was so prevalent in what JC said too, that they know that that you're coming after them. And it was unbelievable that within a couple days, my younger grandson, there was a complete change in him, and so I know that they know you're coming after him, and I'm not in a position to do that with a clearing with my son, which needs it very badly, whatever. And I tried to get him to go to Tony, and he wouldn't do it. So since this has happened, these entities that take over that we weren't aware of before, they're running rampant. And I'm so grateful that because I took the class, that I'm able to help other people. And I did a session even last night, and it is absolutely beautiful to watch the transformation in people. And but Thomas has a unique way of just freeing you from anything that might be holding you back from really getting down and doing the work. And the benefits of it last for a very long time, and things that you didn't realize that you might have discovered in that treatment shows up later. I don't know if that makes any sense, and I hope that was not too long.
No, thank you so much, Laura. I mean, first of all, this is more about really getting people to understand the impact those entities can have, or energies can have in our life, and what it actually means when we are able to clear those energies. Kerrie, I would be interested, or we would be interested to hear a little bit about your story, because you have been a professional in that arena for a while. And why did you feel drawn to the Soul Center Healing Hypnosis technique in the first place?
Oh, goodness, that's a loaded question. I think, well, I was introduced to it by Matt, and then JC, I think, introduced it to Matt. So it was kind of passed around. And I always knew that there were entities that were attached to us, always. And being a hypnotherapist myself, but only working with the soul, I hadn't worked with entities before. And that kind of stuff freaks me out, as I'm sure it does most people. So I kind of never went to that area. I was like, no, just light and love. That's what I want to clear, help people in their lives with those things, but entities, no way. And then so when I found out, okay, there's actually a course, or there's people out there that remove the entities who are well trained, then I was like, yes, let's do it. Because yeah, Matt and I definitely wanted to do that for ourselves, because we were, Matt, do you want to chime in a bit?
No, you're doing really well, Kerrie.
Thanks. So basically, I suppose I'm going to reveal here, Matt and I were starting to see each other and be a relationship, and we wanted to we wanted to make sure we were completely clear of entities and demons, etc., before we consummated our relationship, I suppose. And that's and I knew that there was stuff attached to me because I'd had past traumas in my life from a child, even when I was an adult, through sexual rape and all that kind of stuff, right? So I knew there was something there. So it was really interesting having that whole experience with you, because I didn't realize I had 4 demonic entities attached to me, 3 from like sexual experiences, because I had the 3 sexual traumas. And the last one which right at the end was the sneaky one because it wouldn't let me talk. And I was just like, it wouldn't let me talk. And it was sneaky because it didn't show up until right at the end. And you're like, is there anything else? And it was in my ankle, pinning me, like my foot, pinning me down. And then, of course, it jumped from me into you. So you couldn't talk.
That was quite because, yes.
And I'm not sure if you've experienced that before. Had you experienced?
No, actually, one of the key things is to really protect and to just shield off. But I don't know what happened there. It was like just this fraction of moment. And then, like you remember the session, Kerrie, there was no voice left. So we had to do some clearing. It was a strong one. It was really a big one. It was
really strong. Sorry.
No, keep going.
No, sorry to pass that over to you.
It was the throat demon, I think. That's what Laura Whitworth calls them. Yeah. So
throat demon.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So they usually will attach to the upper chakras and affect how you speak your truth. Like they will try to either put anger or Thomas can tell you more about it because he's studied the course more intently. I've studied the course as well, but Thomas has gone into it further. And and I think that also, Thomas, I think you probably felt affected by it because when Thomas does the sessions, he sees them as well. He's tapping in, he's feeling it, and he's seeing it. And these entities they're in our energetic field, so we need to just explain that to people. It's not in us. They're not in our physical body. They're in our energetic field. And they affect our thoughts. So thoughts are things. Thoughts are things. And that's why in the hypnotic trance, or in a theta state, we slow our mind down enough to tap into the unconscious mind and feel these other thoughts in the thought fields. And that's what these entities are. They're thoughts, and they're pervading our thoughts. And they want us to believe that their thoughts are our thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they affect us the way they do. And in that reality where they live in, time does not exist. So that's why instantly when we do what like when Thomas facilitates the angelic realm to get rid of these, it happens instantly on their plane, wherever they are. Yeah.
And the fascinating bit for me was like, yes, they knew about demons and that was about it, but there are so many of them. It's like, okay, this is just like, I had no idea. It's like opening up an entire galactic universe of those energies. And I like it. The other day we had, because I'm currently working with Joanne to go through the Dragon Calling course, which is like completely, I can see now how my Soul Center healing work together with the Dragon work will complement each other extremely well. And Joanne always says is like, and this is, I feel guilty of that. Having lived in the ashram for about 10 years, I feel a lot was spiritual bypassing, because I thought, okay, transcending all our negative stuff, all our thoughts, and that's all going to be enough. But actually, in most of the cases, it's not enough. We need to just face them head on. And Joanne keeps saying is like, okay, in our truther community, quotation mark, in our community, it's all about, we shift our consciousness from 3D world to 5D to 6D and higher realms. So what about the 4D realm? This is where we have all those shadow aspects that actually push us forward into a 5D reality. So it's like totally ignoring one dimension doesn't really help. And the work that we do through this shadow work and through working with those entities, we are clearing up, as Joanne says, the fourth floor. And it is about really having and of course, it's not for everybody. You need to feel called to it. Having the energy, the strength, the willingness, the courage to actually go into the fourth floor and to just say, hey, you guys, what are you up to? It's just enough. You've done enough damage, in quotation marks, because we also know there's always two sides of the same coin. Without those energies, without those aspects of our realities, we wouldn't be pushed to move forward into a higher frequency. So it's perfect the way it is. But if you feel called to clearing up the fourth floor, it gives, or at least it has given me so far, a wonderful opportunity to talk to those entities. And I remember, JC, I hope you don't mind me sharing, I can't remember quite what it was, when you were here and we did the face-to-face session, and there was all this rationing that was going on, trying to hold you back. And I remember what came through is like, do you realize that you have lost the battle with JC? Do you realize that you have tried and you have lost the battle? And that was one of the beautiful moments where I really, now thinking about it, I must laugh, because it's like, oh, and it was like,
you could see it, couldn't you, Thomas?
yes,
That was amazing, because they got in, they were trying, it was so incredible, this whole process, because I was lying on the quantum bed. I mean, I wish that people could come and visit you and do a face-to-face session, but truly it doesn't matter if it's distant, or whatever country you're in, it still works. It doesn't matter, the space and the time, the difference doesn't matter. But at the start, they were trying to, I felt them, trying to hook in, because that was like, they were going, we got you. Like, and he was just, you were inducing me, you were taking me down, and they had already were there. And they weren't my demons. They were someone else's demons, right? But they were coming to tell me, we found you.
yeah.
And then in the process, as they're talking, they're going, we can't hear her thoughts. They're going, we can't hear her thoughts. We can't hear her thoughts. We know she's done something. We can't hear her thoughts or something. But they were confessing stuff. And in the process of them confessing, they were saying, she's won. Like, you would say she's won, or something like that, something to that effect. Do you remember? That was pretty crazy.
Yes.
It was pretty amazing. And you're so, I just wanted to quickly say this, that, I mean, the reason why I went back to Thomas twice is because, he's really good. And he's really good at it. And it takes a very gifted facilitator to be able to, you don't just run a script. You're feeling each person, and everyone's different, and everyone has different needs, and there's a story behind this. And so he's really, there's hours of work going on here, and investing in really, it's like a hostage negotiation, and to know that, no matter what, we're going to get you out of this. This is basically, and that's how I can, and as you're in the session, you can feel, because there's always that part of your mind that's very, very conscious, and it's aware, and it's the observer, and it's going, wow, like, he's really got everything under control, or he's, he knows what he's doing. And you can see that Thomas is sort of seeing the big picture and taking you through the process. So I really enjoyed it. I'll go back for thirds as well.
I mean,
if that's okay.
In a way, it's we all are wherever we are, and everybody who feels called to do the work, we will attract the right people, and we will attract exactly those people that we can help. And I'm sure, Kerrie, you will confirm, as a health professional, it's always like that. Nature will just bring the people that we are able to help, and it doesn't really matter. For me, I find there are moments in a session where you start sweating, and this is just me. It's like, okay, this is like a situation I've never had before, and trust me, every single time in every single session, yes, there are similarities, but there are new nuances to it that we don't know have come up. So if I go into my logical brain, I'm trying to think in a systematical way, oh, this, I should do next. it's not going to work. So it really comes to a point where I just need to scrap the script and sit in my core, sit in my center. Okay, what do I feel is the next thing? What do I feel is actually coming up in this person? How can we facilitate the process so actually the person, when they go back afterwards, their learning is enhanced? Because why do we go back into past life? It's not for sensational purpose. Of course, people like, oh, I've had so many past lives, and you know what? We have been around for thousands of times and years and lifetimes and God knows what, but it's not the sensationalism that is important, but what is important, what is the lesson that I can take away from that life without it repeating in this lifetime? And this is what I love about those Soul Center healing sessions, and my gratitude goes to Laura Whitworth for actually bringing up the course and actually allowing people to train in that modality. It is just so beautifully set up that it is a learning. It's not just a clearing, a cleansing. It's like you become your own teacher because you give the answers. It's not relying on somebody else. So we get to a stage in the session where we have cleared as much as needed clearing at this point in time, and then your higher self is coming through. And that's when the true connection is made. The unfiltered knowledge can actually come through. And all that preparatory work leads up to that. And this is where you get the chance to ask some of the questions that you were really sitting within and holding within you and wanted to know answers from. And we all, and I feel guilty as well, we all sometimes in our lives have the tendency to go to clairvoyance. And I feel like sometimes I want to pick up the phone and say, JC, I want you to have a look. Just go and check out what's going on. But we know it's not going to help, because in the essence, it's about our own inner knowing, you know, and this is what the session does. Now, Matt, it has been a few weeks since you had your session. I don't want to hold you all up any longer. I'm very grateful.
That's fine.
What has changed in your life since you have undergone? What revelations and insights have come to you after the session, for example?
Okay. I could say I've had lots of breakthroughs in the past 3 to 4 weeks, like quite large. One has been a massive shift in, I guess, my relationship with my parents. That's been really, really massive for me. The other was, I guess, the insights in regards to my past life experiences that I had. And I could see how those played out in this lifetime for me. That was quite pertinent. And that came through pretty fast for me. So that was really, really good. And I just think like the amount of abundance that has came into my life in the last few weeks has been astronomical, financially, relationships, the works, like, and I've had, I guess, you know, there's been ongoing healing that has come with that as well. Expansion, like it's just been astronomical, really. It's, if you were to tell anyone this, they would just probably look at you and go, what are you talking about? But yeah, it's really hard to explain. It's hard to put words to, honestly. But it's been nothing short of amazing for me. And going back to why I did it, I trust JC with my life. And there's not many people that I trust in terms of healing. I've got a select few people that I use. I've done your meditation course, and I said to JC from the outset, Thomas is so humble. His energy is amazing, and I can just feel the power that you have. And it was a no-brainer for me to go with you. and the whole experience that I had with you was phenomenal, from the start to the finish. Can't speak highly enough of you, mate. You were tremendous in the way that you held the space. And going back to the logical brain side of it, I had seen some of Tony's sessions that he had done. And obviously everyone works differently, and I know that. But when we were in our session, it felt like I was going into the past life stuff before any entity release. And I'm like, what's Thomas doing? Where is he taking me? What's going on? And I had to really, at that point in time, I had to breathe and go, I trust Thomas. He's amazing. And I just had to surrender in that moment to release into it all, to get into my higher self and just go with it. But I guess those preconceived ideas of how we think things are going to go was one thing that I really had to eliminate in that moment to fall back into it and be where I needed to be.
Matt, you brought up a very important aspect, because it's not necessarily what your higher self needs at that moment in time.
Yep.
And I hope you don't mind me sharing. I remember that your session where you stood in front of the door and you said that you feel scared and you feel like, I know this is the door, but I feel anxious to actually walk through the door. And that whole process of negotiating with some aspects of your being to actually have that courage and go through that door, it was so humbling for me to witness, because that was one of the key, in my view, of your session to break through whatever you needed to break through at that moment in time. You know, we could have easily just ignored and say, okay, I go to the other door that is more comfortable. But it was very obvious that this was the biggest learning, and this whole process of negotiating with your being, of actually having the courage to step through that door and see what was behind. And this is when we are all on our journey. It requires so much of commitment and so much of strength and courage. And again, you pointed it out, Matt. My deepest gratitude goes to my dear sister JC. I don't know, you know, look at us here on the screen, you know, it's you who brought everybody together, who basically connected the entire world in those last 2 or 3 years and helped us all to find our soul family. And I just feel so humbled that I have had the chance, and I'm speaking really from my heart here. I don't care whatever everybody thinks. I love you, my darling sister. We all love you. And the work that you do, the commitment that you have to bringing people together, it's just beyond words. And you exhaust yourself. You go beyond your physical limits to just be committed and to share the truth, your truth, with people. And why most of us, and I hope I don't speak out of term, actually feel drawn to you is because from the moment we saw you, I remember I was driving on the motorway in Switzerland with my friend Edina in the car. That was when I first listened to your first video. You just are yourself. You have taught us all the importance of just standing in our own truth, being true to our own self, and not being afraid that can change, because we change. Our perspective of life will change, and allow that flow to come through. I just wanted to say this with really utmost gratitude, and I'm so grateful. You just, we love you so much, JC. This wouldn't be possible without you.
Well, Thomas, it's I just want to, with that video, was it the one about the demons?
Yes.
Under Australia? Isn't that amazing?
It was.
I think what this shows us is that because look what we've got here. We've got Laura, we've got Kerrie, we've got Matt, and we've got yourself. And here are 4 people who stood in their truth, right? And they took the plunge and they had a session, because it is scary. Just like Kerrie said, she said, you know, I do this work and I do light work and I heal people, and I didn't want to look at this stuff because it's scary and it's shadow work and it's and demons are just, we don't want to look at entities, you know. If we just think them away, they'll go away, which is what I think what most people in healing and alternative communities will believe or make you believe. And I don't want to make this about myself, but I want to use it as a metaphor or as an example for what Soul Center Healing is about. It's about an all healing, because Thomas also does all these other modalities that all come into play and integrate into this session. Okay, he will use all his knowledge in this, and to bare your soul, you know, to stand strong and go, right, I'm going to do it, because these entities will make you sabotage yourself before a session. They will play with your equipment. They will make the audio not work. They will turn off the internet. They will do anything to stop you from getting healed and getting better, and for them to lose control. And healing only occurs when we are absolutely brutally honest with ourselves. And so I see this role of myself, I take it very, very seriously. And I take it very seriously. It's a calling. It's not about what's the most popular thing. I have to keep being myself and absolutely brutally honest all the time. And because I'm an example to others, and I'm an example to others to take the plunge and just do it and go out there and do this. And this I thank my lucky stars for Laura Whitworth, because her drive and her commitment to healing as well. You know, she was a quantum hypnotherapist. I'm not sure, Kerrie, if you do the same stuff. Quantum healing hypnosis technique through Dolores Cannon, and she could feel it. There were blocks in her clients. Kerrie, you might have even felt that yourself. Thomas, you might have felt that yourself in clients. You know, why are there blocks to their healing? Because we have to realize where we are. We're in this parasitic realm. We're in this realm that is invaded by parasitic entities. And in hypnosis, in this altered state, we can discover what they are and take back the healing. And you need these incredible facilitators that can see this. And I did just want to point out really quickly, Matt and Kerrie, they both wanted a session. Why? Because I remembered Laura saying something that was very key. She said, whenever I do anyone in a couple, I always do the other partner as well. Why? Because the entities tend to attach to the sacral, and when there is any intimacy between the couple, the entity will jump on the other person if they haven't had a session and cleared. Okay, and that's what that was about. That's why it's important, because if you're going to get a session, you just need to be aware that if your partner's riddled, it's going to jump on you more than likely, you know. So just wanted to
STDs.
point that out. STDs. Yeah, sexually transmitted demons. Yeah. Yeah. I coined that term. Yeah. Totally. So yeah, I love you, Thomas, and you know, thank you for having me on as well and talking about this, because this is something I'm really passionate about, and I'm just so proud that there's more and more people learning about it and studying it. It's so important. Now, Kerrie, would you mind, before we finish off, to just share how that has changed, what impact has the session had on your on the weeks after the session? Because it's all good to have these experiences within the session, but actually the big question is, does it last? What changes or what has percolated in your life after your session?
Okay, yeah. Well, it's funny because the next day or two after the session, I felt almost empty, like there was something missing. like almost like, oh, because these entities have been there for like 20 years or something like that, that I was like, oh, I felt almost lost to some degree. But then it all came back and I felt whole and I felt lighter and knew then I had more direction of where I wanted to go. So it was like clearing the way, basically, of like, okay, this is where we're going now. And then also just, yeah, everything else was, like Matt was saying, there was abundance in everything that was started to happen in my life, including connections with people and also having the courage to cut certain people out of my life as well, that were creating certain traumas in my life. And they were probably some of the demons to some degree, had them that transferred over to my energy field. So yeah, I mean, it's an amazing experience, and yeah, everyone should have it, shouldn't they? Absolutely, yes. Everyone in the whole world.
Kerrie, I think you mentioned a very important point here when you shared that it's common. Every single one has this experience after a session, feels this emptiness. So I've been living with all of that for such a long time. Now what? So, and this is the beauty. It's like an empty vessel, an empty canvas. Whatever we wish to manifest in our life can be just drawn upon this canvas. And Laura, you shared the story with your, I think you said your relationship with your son or grandson that has changed after the session. Is there anything else that you wish to sort of share with us? What has shifted?
I think that it's so enlightening when you have a session with you, and then when you take the course. And I mean, I, like all of us, I'm so grateful for Laura Whitworth that that she stepped out in faith, and she is an example of excellence by, you know, first of all, researching this enough to be able to know how to do it, and then teaching, you know, with the passion that she does. I think that it makes you, once you experience the cleansing yourself, and I wanted to kind of mention this too. Thomas is, you know, you would think that he's, well, I don't know, he's not this type of person, or he's not this type of person. I don't know if he can handle some of these demons. And but the first thing that came out of my mouth when he was talking to the main one, I guess, was, he said, who are you? And, you know, it was none of your fucking business. And he's like, oh, okay, all right. So it's kind of funny. And I'm like, oh, oops. So, but also, like JC was saying, that they realize you're coming, and so you go through all these different things. And I think that's important when you're talking to people, to prepare them for the session, that, you know, I mean, you might experience some different things the day before, or as we build up to this session, because they're going to want to hide or not, you know, come forward. But I think you become more aware when you are in a relationship, or you pass through people in life, that you go, oh my gosh, I see what's going on here. And yeah, that kind of explains a lot of things. Or it's, you have more of an understanding, I guess, about why people are acting a certain way. Unfortunately, the one that's in my son, it's put a big wedge in our relationship. I haven't seen my grandkids in several months, and my last time of having a face-to-face conversation with him, it was like talking to my daughter-in-law. but I have an understanding that, I mean, when the time is right and I can just pray for my my angelic realm to talk to his angelic realm to try to work on that, and I just have to try to do it kind of remotely, if that makes any sense. But and the other part of my past life part that I saw, I have no way of thanking you, JC, for I had been experiencing like my bed shaking for months. I didn't know what it was, and I was able to ask you a question one time on one of your it was just typing it, and you explained to me that was astral travel. I had no idea about anything like that. And in my session with Thomas, it was what I do is go into the tunnels and help carry those souls of those children to, safety, and also try to comfort the souls that are not ready to leave yet. And that's so, I mean, I would have never been able to know how or anything about that if it hadn't been for you two. I mean, you're both just amazing, and I'm so grateful. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you. No,
Thank you, Laura.
what you said is really that by increasing our awareness, we actually take back our power. And that's all about. It's about understanding what is really going on and taking back our control and taking back our power. So I'm gonna wrap this up. Just the last comment that sort of popped in my head when Laura was speaking is that we have this notion that all these demonic energies, we put this label on, it's all bad and it's all horrible. But in actual fact, it is our ability to actually approach them, our ability to communicate with them, our ability to make them see what they are not seeing that transforms them. So it is through the process, what I experience is I become much more non-judgmental. It's a transformation for the person who takes you through this process yourself. And because we understand the bigger picture, because we understand we are just facilitating a process of some kind of dense energy to remember again who that energy or what that energy is, and then transforming it and seeing them or seeing those energies going into the light or wherever it is required for them to go next is so fulfilling and so heartwarming. And this is where everything comes back again together. We are going 360-degree circle. Yes, we all initially feel that we can blame this person, that person for the miseries of our life. But if you look back, if you really look back with consciousness, with awareness, every single step, every single block that has been put in our life, in the end, is for the best. And I have to, Dan, you have to make myself accountable for these words, because sometimes I get lost in the drama and I forget about it.
Never.
No.
That's the human experience. We choose to get lost so that we can learn.
I know, we choose to get lost so we can find ourselves again. So thank you all so much, specifically Laura, for getting in America, in Florida. JC, I know that you are very, very busy with your family and you have got another interview just after this. So thank you, Kerrie, thank you, Matt. And I'm sure
thanks, Thomas.
The moment will come very soon where we can give each other a big hug.
I know.
Yes.
You're coming to Australia.
Because you're coming to Australia.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
3 against 2.
I'll make a retreat. We'll make a retreat here.
Yes.
And I'll probably put out I'll edit and put out my session with Thomas so that you can all see how he works.
Awesome.
Which is
Awesome. Thank you so much,
Awesome.
everybody.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.